Something very interesting is happening in Japan right now. And if you are an SB19 fan, you may want to pay very close attention to this, because SB19's Summer Sonic 2026 appearance may have ended on the stage. But the story clearly did not end there. In fact, it almost feels like the performance was only the beginning. Just days after SB19 stepped onto one of Japan's biggest music festival stages, multiple Japanese media outlets began putting the Filipino group front and center in their coverage. And when you start looking at the names of the outlets covering them, the bigger picture becomes impossible to ignore. SB19 isn't simply being mentioned as another international act that appeared at a festival. Japanese media are actually telling the story of what happened. And one of the biggest reasons is something that happened during their Tokyo performance that nobody could have forgotten. GENTO met Kento. Yes, SB19's GENTO met Japanese superstar Kento Nakajima on the Summer Sonic stage. And apparently Japan was paying attention. SB19 made their Summer Sonic debut on August 15th in Tokyo, and the group delivered a special performance of GENTO featuring Kento Nakajima. Japanese outlet Oricon reported on the collaboration, describing it as a moment where the Filipino and Japanese music scenes crossed paths. But here's where things become even more interesting. The collaboration wasn't some random last-minute festival surprise. There was already a story behind it. SB19 and Kento had previously connected through a GENTO with Kento Nakajima TikTok project during SB19's earlier visit to Japan. That interaction generated enough attention to eventually lead to the live collaboration at Summer Sonic. So when Kento suddenly appeared on that stage, it wasn't simply another celebrity appearance. It represented something much bigger. A Filipino P-Pop group had walked into one of Japan's major music festivals and created a moment that connected two different music industries. And Japanese media noticed. One of the screenshots you provided shows Oricon Music, one of Japan's major entertainment publications, featuring the SB19 and Kento Nakajima collaboration. The headline itself focuses on the powerful stage performance and the first live presentation of GENTO featuring Kento Nakajima. Then there's the First Times, another Japanese music publication, which also covered the collaboration, and the wording is especially interesting. The report highlights the idea that the collaboration became proof that the two artists could create something meaningful together. That is important because it changes the conversation around SB19. This isn't just Filipino group performs in Japan. It's becoming Filipino group collaborates with a major Japanese artist, performs at Summer Sonic, and becomes part of the Japanese entertainment conversation. That is a completely different level of visibility. And then we have another screenshot showing coverage on livedoor news, again featuring the SB19 and Kento Nakajima story. When several outlets begin picking up essentially the same moment, it tells you that the performance created enough interest to move beyond the fan community. And that's where the real significance begins, because SB19 didn't arrive in Japan with nothing behind them. They came into Summer Sonic after an already impressive international run. The group had recently performed at Lollapalooza in Chicago, and their Japan activities were part of a much larger expansion of their international presence. Japanese Sony music coverage has also highlighted SB19's sold-out performances across different markets and their growing international profile. Then they arrived at Summer Sonic. And instead of simply performing their songs and leaving, SB19 created a moment that Japanese media could build a story around. That is smart international positioning. But there is another detail that makes this even more fascinating. Japanese coverage wasn't only interested in the collaboration. Reports surrounding the Summer Sonic performance also highlighted SB19's performance ability. Rolling Stone Japan's coverage, as shared in fan discussions, praised the group's dance, rap, and vocals, describing the scale and energy of the performance as something that could not simply be categorized as P-Pop. Think about what that means. For years, SB19 has been fighting to prove that P-Pop can stand on international stages. Now they're walking into Japan, performing for a festival audience, and Japanese coverage is beginning to discuss them beyond simply being a Filipino group. That distinction matters, because international growth isn't just about getting booked. Getting booked gets you onto the stage. What happens after you leave the stage is what determines whether people remember you. and SB19 appears to be getting that second wave of attention. Their Summer Sonic performance happened. The Kento collaboration happened. Japanese media covered it. And then the conversation continued. Even Sony Music Japan has been actively building SB19's presence in the Japanese market. The group's Wakas at Simula album received a Japanese edition, while SB19 also announced its first special fan meeting in Japan. There was even a special SB19 rap vending machine installation at Yokohama Station on August 17th and 18th, giving Japanese fans another physical way to interact with the group's branding and merchandise. Now pause for a second and look at the sequence. A Japanese release, a major Japanese festival appearance, a collaboration with Kento Nakajima, Japanese media coverage, a special fan meeting, a promotional presence at Yokohama Station, and now multiple Japanese publications are continuing to feature SB19. That doesn't look like a one-day festival visit. That looks like the foundation of a market strategy. And perhaps that is the most exciting part of this entire story. Because Japan is not an easy market to simply enter and dominate overnight. It has one of the world's biggest and most established music industries, with an audience that has its own strong musical culture and preferences. So for an international group to begin generating repeated attention, there is something worth watching. And SB19 may have found an unusually powerful bridge. Music. Not just Filipino music, not just Japanese music, but collaboration. Kento Nakajima became the perfect connection point. GENTO became GENTO with Kento. And suddenly, a song that already had significance for SB19 was being presented in a way that connected directly with Japanese audiences. That's why this moment feels bigger than just a viral performance. It creates familiarity, it creates curiosity, and most importantly, it gives people a reason to search for SB19 after the performance ends. Because someone who came to see Kento might discover SB19. Someone who came to watch Summer Sonic might discover SB19. Someone who saw an Oricon article might search for GENTO. And someone who searches for GENTO might eventually discover the entire SB19 catalog. That is how international audiences are built. One moment at a time, one collaboration at a time, one performance at a time. And perhaps that's why the current Japanese media attention deserves more attention than it is getting. SB19 didn't just perform at Summer Sonic. They left Japan with a story, and now Japanese media are helping tell that story. The biggest question is no longer whether SB19 can perform internationally. They've already demonstrated that. The question now is, how far can this Japan chapter go? Because if Summer Sonic was the introduction, and the Japanese media coverage is the reaction, then the next stage could be even bigger. And honestly, ATEN may want to keep their eyes on Japan. Because SB19's performance may have ended on that Summer Sonic stage, but Japan doesn't look finished with SB19 yet.